before this crisis, we were already in a crisis of gender inequality. We already needed to see action. And if we fail women now, then we will be failing women for a long time to come. We've seen women disproportionately impacted by job disruption as a result of the crisis. 98% of jobs with high exposure, classed as essential workers during the crisis, are paid poverty wages. It was really encouraging, certainly, to see that increased public awareness of what the most essential workers are in our society, who creates the wealth, and it's ordinary workers who create wealth for employers. It's their labour by which employers are able to turn a profit. There has been a recommendation as part of the Scottish Government's advisory group on economic recovery that social care in particular should be looked at in terms of the model itself and how it's delivered, but also the pay that is attributed to those workers. And one of the big things that the crisis has further exposed is the crisis in care, and this is both paid and unpaid care. Childcare, social care, care for older and disabled people, it's seen as women's work. Gender split in that hasn't shifted in the crisis, and women are still doing more than double the amount of childcare and homeschooling than men. And this has a massive impact on women's ability to work from home. Women are more likely to be interrupted, have to reduce their hours, and that makes their employment status more precarious. The primary way that women manage that balance is by using jobs that enable to work flexibly, but the majority of those that are really responsive and create that time are part-time jobs, and those are concentrated in lower paid jobs than perhaps they're qualified for or they would otherwise like to do, which is a loss of earnings to those women, but it's a loss of those skills to employers and to the economy. Women, and particularly BME women and young women and women on 0 hours contracts, are much more likely to work in a sector that's been shut down. And what we know is the predicted jobs recession is going to bring increased unemployment, with women much more likely to lose their job than men. And all of these things just serve to reinforce or widen existing inequalities. Gender norms are really persistent. The crisis, the way that has really pushed employers to different ways of working, shows that it is possible to do things differently. How it's possible to work on a non-standard working pattern. The real crucial thing at this point in time is economic recovery plans. And so we really need to see government realise or acknowledge that gender is not a marginal consideration. It is absolutely a central issue. So we need to see the government use gender-sensitive, sex-disaggregated data to inform policy making. We have been calling for the government to use the economic recovery plan to address occupational segregation as a central aim, because if we can tackle where women and men are concentrated in different jobs and occupations and sectors in the labour market, that will go a long way towards tackling a lot of the labour market inequality that women face. Gender norms are far more shaped by society than they are by biology, and this is borne out by research. And we need to recognise that, there is value in women's work, in the jobs that women do. And I think really the coronavirus crisis, has shown us where that value really lies.